Hi everybody, it's Chris. It's Friday. I am home and settled back in California, and I'm looking forward to a variety of good pod blasts. Short, brief, but good information that is hopefully very helpful to all of you. This morning I taught class, my indoor cycling class here in San Francisco, and we started working through our class that is actually quite challenging, and heart rates get really high. It's pretty hard efforts in there. And I started going off on a little bit of a tangent regarding effort and what training means to us and the mental aspects. And in order to truly race with intent and confidence and positive a positive mental approach in order to execute a good race strategy and continuing to keep your eyes on the prize as well as the finish line, as well as what your goals are for the day. It requires practice, and I feel that the biggest challenge that many of us masters, triathletes, endurance athletes, swimmers, masters athletes in general, where it's no longer in an organized age group or competitive fashion as we do whether in high school or NCAA level or even on the pro level. As masters athletes, many people, many athletes, many participants struggle with the strength of mind in order to get through their events the way they are capable of getting through them. That's the big point here. It's not about achieving anything that's completely outside the norm or unrealistic as far as their goals. It's more about achieving what we all know we are capable of achieving, what we see in practice, what we see in training, on the bike, on runs, in the pool, being able to see that, feel that, observe that, and say to ourselves, I can execute this and even a little bit faster in the race environment. And that's what I'm excited to show. That's what I'm excited to race about. And that's what I'm excited to get a quality result from. That got me thinking on a short pod blast today because I sort of went on a little rant in class. Nothing negative, but more on how important it is to stay in the moment, to stay focused, to not think about, how I'll hurt tomorrow, or how this might compromise my afternoon workout or my big ride this weekend. Like I said in class this morning, the important thing is to execute today's workout now, this workout, because it's all part of the load. If you take today's workout easy in order to execute tomorrow better, well, that was not the intent of the workout tomorrow. The intent of the workout tomorrow was for you to have executed today well, perfectly, properly, in order to then enter tomorrow's workout with the acceptable load in your body, the acceptable strength of mind to execute tomorrow better, stronger, faster, more successfully. Coming into a big training day fresh, that's not a big challenge. That's what I call weekend warriors. And not in a negative way, but it's just if your life is too busy to train during the week, whether it's a job or family and so on, so be it. That's your stage in life. That's where you are right now. And most likely it's because it has to be that way. But that means you enter the weekend fresh, rested, and excited to train hard, excited to blow out the legs, excited to really get fatigued because you have all this bottled up energy from not having worked out during the week. That's a completely different workout on a Saturday and a Sunday than if you had trained all week and have a load leading up to the weekend in your legs, as well as you have a different outcome in mind, whether me as a coach for you or you as an athlete. The goal is not to have your best possible Saturday, your best possible Sunday, blow out the legs so that you can be shelled, tired, hungry, fatigued for 5 days during the week. There's a reason for that. There's a different outcome for that. That's okay to do if you are not training during the week. It's okay for you to have that fun, to have that stimulus, to have that enjoyment. on the weekend to really, really tax your body, to really feel alive, to feel connected, to feel strong, to feel validated. The fact that you can take advantage of some sort of fitness like that, because during the week, of course, all this builds up inside you and you are frustrated in many ways that you would like to train more, that you would like to have the ability to find some time for yourself and do the healthy thing, do the right thing to train a little bit every day. But that's what a weekend warrior is. And yes, it comes with negative connotations because training with people who are like that, they have a different agenda, they have a different outcome, they have a different approach to the weekend. So it's hard to train with them because they're coming in so fresh. They have a different desire and outcome planned for the weekend to absolutely shell themselves, feel great, feel connected, feel alive, feel blown out, and then sit on the couch the rest of the week, or the rest of the weekend, because they had a very strong stimulus workout. So a brief interruption here. I just deleted an additional 30 minutes coming in this podcast because it was getting way too long and there was way too much I wanted to say. So I'm going to pull back here and get my thoughts a little bit more organized with regards to being ready for a good training session and how being ready to execute a good training session, whether like this morning's class or any training session, prepares us to be ready in races. And despite that little tangent about weekend warriors, I'm going to get more focused here. So the point of the pod blast here is that we want to be ready and train properly, train the mind and the spirit properly so that we're ready in racing because of how ready and how smart and how in the moment we stayed in our training leading up to the race. Racing, when done right, is just a repetition of the training we've done. And sure, you're a little bit more rested and you're a little bit more explosive, but the deviation from how you approach training to how you approach racing should not be a large number. And so therefore, how you approach your training, how ready you are to have a good training session, how in the moment you stay and how focused and how positive you stay in your training sessions prepares you to stay in the moment, to stay focused, to stay strong throughout your event. That is the goal, to be mentally engaged, be present, to be connected to your entire output throughout the event from start to finish. So how do we do that? How do we prepare our mind for that type of focus? Well, it'd be easy to say simulation. Simulation, while it is very helpful, also puts us into a space where we're thinking about it ahead of time, and we're usually well prepared and know that we're going into a simulation. I think the preparedness for a hard race and what happens mentally during races comes up in every single possible workout. There's always little tidbits, little moments, little insights, little scenarios that happen in every workout that make us a better athlete and make us better prepared for racing. Of course, that's part of our daily progression on how we want to be a better athlete than yesterday. And many of you have always heard me talk about our goal is to be a better athlete tomorrow than we are today, and our goal as an athlete is to be better today than we were yesterday. And that's not always in performance, but that also might be in hydration and in fueling and in mental approach and in recovery and in execution and in overcoming emotional valleys and in so many different scenarios in every training session that allow us to quantify ourselves as a better athlete than yesterday. So each training session is not only a great opportunity to prepare us for a difficult time in a race, or overcoming in a race, or executing a steady strategy throughout the race. But also each training session is part of a greater load that prepares us for the next day to be better, stronger, and more mentally engaged. This morning was a great example for that. Many intervals, one has the opportunity to just sort of start a little bit more controlled and sort of build throughout the class. But the goal this morning, and in many workouts in general, is to challenge yourself with the right numbers, with the right pace, with the right effort early on, despite it seeming realistic, and really working hard in trying to blow up. Now, blowing up never feels good, and it's somewhat demoralizing, but the beauty of blowing up is that you're challenging yourself to grow to a place where you, despite challenging yourself with the right numbers, with the right paces, with the right execution, with the right effort, you can go further and further into the workout without blowing up. You learn more about yourself that way than you do if you're just in a controlled, steady environment and you execute the workout well, but not well enough to learn about how you are getting stronger, about how much more you can do, how well you can still challenge yourself. Beauty of preparing for blow up, it also helps us overcome self-doubt. It creates confidence. It displays itself quite clearly that we are having progression. Doubt is always there. Whenever we're venturing off into something new, a painful foreign feeling, or testing our perceived limits, it's completely natural to have doubt. But being well versed with that doubt, having danced with that devil of doubt, allows us on race day to be a lot more prepared for it. Just like perfectionism can be a negative because it makes our goals unrealistic, or makes our success at reaching those perfect goals too hard, and those create self-doubt, so can being too controlled in your output all the time too. Progression means that we want to continue to move forward, continue to question what our body is capable of, continue to learn, and continue to be a better athlete today than we were yesterday. And by challenging ourselves properly, of course within the parameters of the workout, that allows us to become a better athlete. Now, it's not always a harder effort. That could be in the form of better technique, smarter breathing pattern, longer stroke in swimming, the proper higher cadence when cycling, lighter on our feet, and higher leg turnover while running. There's many ways that we can challenge ourselves in training to do better, to execute smarter, to maintain better form, to improve our technique, to become more efficient. And oftentimes we have to make sacrifices in order to achieve the better self, the progression that we're looking for. And oftentimes, and the reason I bring this up is because that requires a harder effort. It doesn't necessarily mean a faster pace or a higher wattage. It means doing it cleaner, better technique, more fundamentally sound, so that then down the road you do become more efficient at it and you can hold higher wattage. So, not perfect, we're not looking for perfectionism, and we're also not looking for mediocrity. We're looking for constant progression and challenging ourselves to do it better. Making this a habit creates amazing confidence in how we're going about our training and therefore into a race. Knowing that we did our best, knowing that we challenged ourselves, knowing that we made daily progress, allows us to remain incredibly focused and confident as we progress and move closer to the A race, the big event that we're preparing for. That is the key point I want to make in general is we can only be as good as our best effort. And for many of us, as we're in our training and we're looking at our event far down the road, it becomes overwhelming to think about all the things we want to improve upon, all the goal times we want to hit, all the splits we want to achieve. But instead thinking about how I'm a better athlete today than yesterday and how I plan to be a better athlete tomorrow than today allows us to stay in this workout, in this effort, in this fundamentally sound, clean, well-executed workout to the best of my abilities. Beyond that, there's nothing more we can do. If we can feel good about that we did it right, given who we are, what we can do, then that is going to pay dividends, because daily progress equals weekly progress equals monthly progress equals race-to-race progress. Many of you heard my approach on let's not think about the race too much. Let's think about where we want to be next month at this time, how we want to feel, what paces we want to hit, what heart rates we want to be at, what kind of swimming pace we want to be at, what kind of fitness levels we want to achieve. So therefore, we just have a month over month to compare. So if we can, instead of doing a daily progress thing, we can focus on a monthly progress thing, being able to look back in a month from now and say, wow, man, I can't believe how crappy or how slow or how unfit I felt back then, but I feel a lot closer to my ideal fitness. I feel a lot closer to my race fitness. I feel a lot closer to my goal paces now than I did a month ago. And that is all you can ask for. But the key to all that progression, however we quantify the time, is about challenging yourself. So in looking back at that workout this morning, your ability to find out your blow-up point, your ability to do it right, again, not outside of the parameters of the workout, but don't be timid. Don't worry about what the next interval may bring. Don't worry what the next workout may bring. Think about what you are doing right now in this interval, in this workout, and how well you're doing it, how well you're executing it, and how well you're achieving the goals set forth for the workout. This morning's 10-minute interval, sure, we still had 5 or 6 more to go, and sure, we didn't know what they would bring since I didn't explain what the rest of the set will hold, but executing intervals 1 and 2 set you up for a successful 3 and 4 and 5 and 6. Because, again, if you took 1 and 2 easier, what's the value of 3 and 4 if you didn't do 1 and 2 easier? So it's a culminating difficulty. I'm not sure if that's really a term, but it creates its own cycle of negativity. If you're not doing each interval right and in the moment, it takes a value away from what you are doing next, and that's not progress. You learn more about yourself in the failure, in the blow-ups, in the harder efforts that keep you on the edge of successful completion than you do by a controlled workout that you feel good that you did it, but you know you could have done better. That's not the value of training we're looking for. Anybody can go about a training week and choose 3 or 4 workouts that they really want to nail and do the others either too easy or blow them off or modify them so that they're ready for the workouts that they want to hit. Again, that's not really training. The way we're looking to get the results that we're looking for, that is more sandbagging. That's choosing to hit a few markers, but that's not progression. That's mini races every week in order to prove yourself against no competition, but knowing that you're not improving. You're in that gray zone, as we've talked about before, by not quite training consistently enough or hard enough on hard days and easy enough on easy days. I know all this can get confusing, but the highlight and the main point here is to execute the training as stated, as written, and look at it as the workout I want to do today to the best of my ability in order to progress personally as an athlete today versus yesterday. The other point here is to step out on that limb, get out of your comfort zone. If those intervals look challenging, don't overthink them before you go into the workout and psych yourself out. Do the first one to the best of your abilities and see what happens. And if you blow up, or if you can't complete it, or if you are too fatigued to continue on, so be it. But at least we have a marker to compare to guide our progress by. Because the next time you do something similar, or the next time you need to do those intervals, hopefully you'll get into those intervals further, or you'll feel better doing them. You might be fresher, you might be in a different phase of your training, but your ability to push yourself and execute the first interval or whatever interval you're in will make you a better racer. And that's the final part of this, is how does this training, how does this staying in the moment, executing the current interval, not thinking about how much the next interval will hurt or the next training session will hurt or how you'll feel in the coming days. The ability there to hurt in training, to stay focused, to stay engaged, will make time in a race go by completely differently because you have repeated over and over and over again in training of just staying in the current wattage, in the current pace, and just holding on. Not, oh my God, how much further do I have to go? Oh my God, how does this feel? And therefore, how badly will I feel in a few miles because this already feels too hard? All that becomes easier to manage in racing because you have worked through those barriers in training. You have to try. You have to try those blow-up intervals. You have to take 3 miles at race pace and go into it right away at the right pace the first mile. You have to start those 45-minute, 1-hour intervals right away properly the first 15 minutes, not just wait till the last 20 minutes where you bring the wattage even higher in order to balance out what the entire interval should have been. You need to start that swim set of 100s or 200s aggressively and see how far it'll take you and mentally persevere and show the mental stamina to continue on despite your body being tired. We all know that when asked, the body can do way more than it thought. And don't let the mind dictate the body. Let the body dictate the mind. So often today we think with this strategy of mind over matter, it's actually the other way around, especially in ultra endurance events. Listen to your body and trust that it is capable of way more than what your mind is telling it. Our mind in ultra endurance events gets overloaded with the remaining distance and the remaining pain involved. So in shorter events like swimming or sprinting in running or shorter cycling events, we can project out the remaining distance, the remaining pain, and force our mind over the matter of pain, mind over matter. But in ultra endurance events, marathons, ultra marathons, Ironmans, half Ironmans, long distance swims, the body will fight you of the pain now creates a fear, creates a panic, creates signals in your body that it's telling you to slow down. Whereas we all know, we've done the training, we're capable of the remaining distance at this pain because we've trained it. Like we were saying earlier in this pod blast, we've trained it to break through those barriers, to stay on those intervals. So come the race, we are saying body over mind. We are saying, I know the brain can't handle, like I did last weekend with regards to a 100-mile run, the remaining 20 hours of running and oh so much climbing and hiking and suffering. I know the mind can't handle the marathon that still remains after the pain of riding this bike for 112 miles. I know the mind can't project out how much further 6 more miles of swimming is in the ocean. But we know the body can. My body could last weekend. All your bodies have before in an Ironman or similar. So now it's a question of training the mind to not project the pain, but to stay in the moment and not think about the pain, to absorb the pain, to dance with that devil of pain, and therefore just continue to do the motions, to do the activity, to stick to technique and good form, and move forward through your day, through your event, through the distance. That's what we're training. That's what this entire pod blast is about. Teaching the body to stay in the moment and not allow it to project pain of the event, of the interval, of the session, of the training, and not give up the opportunity to always train that every single day. In a perfect world, this morning would have been a very hard, challenging interval workout that you go into without fear, but instead use as an opportunity to train the mind to stay present, to push through, to see higher wattages or feel better or hold higher cadences than ever before in a CompuTrainer class. And then, armed with that fatigue, armed with that confidence, armed with that learning from this morning, to go in today's afternoon session or tomorrow, Saturday's longer ride and run, knowing that that fatigue is in your legs, that you executed it well. And guess what? You do that again tomorrow, and then tomorrow evening, looking back on the Saturday going, wow, I did that Friday, hard intervals. I went into it fearless. And then I went into today, Saturday, longer intervals, longer ride with a longer run off the bike, fearless as well. And I still did it well. Then we're starting to get on the side of confidence, of absolute certainty in your mind about how you will do the distance, how you will execute your event, and your ability on race day to push through those valleys of negative emotion and know that it's there because you've done it, because you've stayed in the moment, because you've executed the intervals, because you've gotten through fatigue and still performed. Those are the workouts, those are the sessions, and that's the confidence building that you want to repeat day after day after day. I'm better today as an athlete than I was yesterday because of training, because of my approach, because of my mindset, because of my recovery, because of my sleep, because of my nutrition, because of my hydration, because of all the things I learned every day. I'm better than yesterday. All right, enough of that. Hopefully there were, once again, some tidbits for all of you in today's pod blast. Still going a bit long, but again, I can ramble and talk about this forever. It's Friday. Have a wonderful weekend. Not a lot of people racing, and I think I'll have another pod blast up pretty quickly because I have a lot of topics to work through, and you can see it's starting to flow pretty freely here on how I talk to all of you. Thank you, and have a great weekend of focused, successful, fearless training.